Hello, everybody. It's time for episode 6 of Self Evident Truth with me, the grumpy old vet. If you remember in the last episode, episode 5, I talked about the entire broken window debacle in getting the ticket for it and all that other just happy nothing. And arguing with the court system and of course, how the court system was broken and how they got things completely wrong. And of course, they supported the city and anything that Tom Thompson, the city, wanted to do. They kind of supported that whole thing. I guess it's not justice that we're interested in. So I thought episode 6 would be a perfect time to explain how we bought the building and all of the hassles we had with the Hillsdale city and being charged taxes when we shouldn't have been charged taxes and everything we went through just to try to get it taken care of. So in December of 2018, we bought the building. It happened to be two buildings on one deed, a two-story section and a small one-story section. One-story section, we went in and fixed it all up. It was a total wreck. We did a lot of extensive work in there and make it nice, and it turned out pretty nice. It's not a huge place. It's kind of cozy. It's a nice, but it's a perfect little classroom. Works good for us. We've got about seats for 32 people in there, and sometimes we're standing room only, and sometimes we've only got half the seats filled. We're pretty easygoing group. We teach the Constitution and political science. Of course, we do the 700 years of history leading up to the Constitution. And so it works for us. We have a pretty good time there in our group. Is a pretty good group. So we had our grand opening after we get everything fixed in July, on July 2nd of 2019. The significance to that was the Lee Resolution, July 2nd of 1776, is actually what made us free. It wasn't the Declaration of Independence. That was just declaring to a candid world why we declared our independence. But it was the Lee Resolution of July 2nd, 1776, that actually made us no longer subjects under the king, but free and sovereign citizens. And the ability to govern ourselves through reflection and choice and no longer by accident and force. So in June of 2019, I did all the paperwork with the city assessor's office to declare that we were a 501c3 nonprofit. We were recognized by the IRS as a 501c3 nonprofit, and also by the LARA in Michigan, which is where you declare your corporation status, and they declared us a domestic nonprofit. So I filled out all the paperwork and turned it to the assessor's office. Well, in the fall of 2019, we started getting tax bills. Late summer, early fall. So I started inquiring about it, and we received numerous different answers to our inquiry of why we were being charged taxes. Of course, none of them made any sense. But anyway, that being what it was, we were doing what we could to get it taken care of. Then there was I need to put this in here. The grumpy old vet. I don't shy away from naming names in places and times. So let me do it here. There was a gentleman by the name of Don Hernandez that was on social media that for some reason took an instant dislike to the Hillsdale Justice Project and to me. I don't know what his issue was. Frankly, I don't care. He has the right to his opinion, even if it is wrong. So I never got on social media and did all that stupid stuff. As a grumpy old vet, one thing I learned is that Mark Twain had some very, very good knowledge, and he said, "Never teach a pig to sing; it only irritates the pig and wastes your time." And I didn't have time to waste, and I'm just not going to irritate a pig by trying to teach it to sing. So I never engaged him online. But in February of 2020, we got turned in by somebody. Now, the inspector told us who turned us in. His initials were DH. But anyway, we got turned in, IRS complaint. So we got audited in February of 2020, and we passed our audit with flying colors. We had no problems. We were doing everything exactly the way we're supposed to be doing it. So we were receiving, of course, these taxes that we shouldn't have been paying. Um, but so and we just gone through this audit, and so they had a tax board in March. So Dennis Wainscott and I, we decided to go to the tax board. Well, lo and behold, I found out that Don Hernandez was on the tax board, and so I screenshot a lot of the horrible things that he said about us on Facebook and on other social media. And I sent it to the city, and I said, "Hey, I don't think I can have a fair and impartial hearing with him on the tax board." Now he's told, "Oh, don't worry, he's just an alternate." And so he probably won't even hear, won't even be on the board when you come before the board. But just on the outside chance that he is, we'll make sure that he is recused, so he doesn't hear, he doesn't set on the tax board for us. In fact, the week before the tax board, he even bragged on social media. He said it's an open hearing. Why don't you come on down and watch me vote no on him? Okay, well, that pretty much shows prejudice right there. And so we knew we weren't going to get an unbiased hearing, which we have a right to an unbiased hearing. So the tax board was on Tuesday that we were going to, and on Friday, one of the people quit, and on Monday, one of the people called in sick. So that left two people on the tax board. A gentleman by the name of Richard, don't know his last name, and Don Hernandez. So we went to the tax board hearing, Dennis Wainscott and I, and we walked in there, and I had my determination letter from the IRS, and my paperwork from Laura from the state of Michigan, both declaring us domestic nonprofits and tax exempt. And when it was our turn, as soon as I got up there, I said, well, we shouldn't be being charged taxes because we're a 501c3, we're tax exempt. We're recognized as a nonprofit by the state of Michigan and the IRS, the federal government. And Richard, that was sitting there, he said, well, do you have your letter of determination? I said, yeah, I've got it right here. So I showed him the letter of determination. And also, the letter of determination was the one that was stamped by the city assessor. So they had a copy of it already. And I showed it to him, and he goes, we can take care of this right now. He said, we'll just we'll forgive the taxes and make you tax exempt. Well, at that, Don Hernandez went, no, I don't want to vote on that right now. And Richard looked at him with a puzzled look, and he said, well, we can take care of this right now. And the assessor said, well, typically we don't vote with the people in front of us. I already knew how it was going to go. So I looked at Richard and I said, well, there's no need for us to waste each other's time. I already know how this is going to go. Have a good day. And so Dennis and I got up and left. Well, sure enough, they're supposed to have three people on the tax board. They only had two. As far as we know, one voted for us and one voted against us. So that's not a majority decision either way. And the law says that I have to have a majority decision against me to be able to go to the tax tribunal. So I didn't go to the tax tribunal right then because I thought, well, to go to an administrative court, I have to be injured somehow. So I have to be to a point where they say, okay, you owe enough taxes that we're going to foreclose on your property. Then I can go to the tax tribunal. Incidentally, that's wrong, and I was wrong on that. I didn't know I was supposed to go to the tax tribunal right then, because the other thing is with the tax tribunal, I knew that you could go back 3 years. So, and it's 3 years before they declare that they're going to foreclose on your property for non-payment of taxes. So I was waiting for that, and that's the injury. Of course, I was wrong on that. Say la vie. So we tried working for the next 2 years with them on. I apologize. I keep touching my glasses. They're a little bit loose. I got to get them tweaked. Um, so for the next 2 years, we tried to work with the city to get the taxes taken care of. Well, it came down to finally the assessor said, well, your Article 2 with the state is different than what it is, your purpose is different with the state than what it is for the IRS. So that's why we're charging you taxes. I said, okay. So I got on the Lara website, and 5 times I tried changing the article to our purpose with the state to read exactly what our purpose was on our IRS form, on our letter of determination. And because we mentioned God and the Constitution, it kept getting turned down by Lara. So finally, we got a hold of somebody, and that was tough during that time because that was 2020, while we we're trying to go through all this stuff in 2021. Everybody's still working from home. We finally get a hold of somebody that works for Lara, and we told them what our conundrum was, that we're getting charged taxes because our purpose on our state non-domestic nonprofit wasn't the same. It's very similar, but it wasn't exactly the same as the IRS. And this lady said, "What? I've never even heard of such a thing." She said, "That's ridiculous." And I said, "Well, we're being told by the city that that's the law and that's just how it is. So we're just trying to comply." And she said, "Look, here's what you put in your purpose in your Article 2." And she said, "That'll be approved and that should take care of it, no problem." I said, "Okay." So that's what we did. We submitted it to the city. No, still no good. Still getting charged taxes. So at this point in time, we don't know what to do. So around so in 2021, we filed with the tax tribunal to have the taxes taken care of because we'd received notice of foreclosure for non-payment of taxes. So I said, okay, we're injured, let's do this. So we filed with the tax tribunal, and oddly, the tax tribunal denied us. And when we asked, they didn't have a real good reason. And so in January of 2022, we filed a motion for declaratory judgment in the circuit court, and of course we named the city and we named the county treasurer's office in that because we were getting the notice of foreclosure from the county treasurer's office. I heard that really ticked off the treasurer. She took it personal. She shouldn't have taken it personal. I wasn't suing her personally. In fact, I wasn't suing anybody. I named those two so that the judge could make an order and declare that we were a 501c3 nonprofit, and we figured that would be the end of it. But all of our judges recused themselves, oddly again, and so it got sent over to Judge Anzalone from Lenawee. So we have our hearing, and of course, Tom Thompson argues that the circuit court doesn't have any authority over taxes. No, we weren't asking them to get rid of the taxes. We weren't asking them to do anything on the taxes. All we were asking for is a declaratory judgment, have the judge look at the paperwork and declare us 501c3. So the judge said, well, yes, this is the wrong venue. Circuit court doesn't have any authority. So she ruled against us. Now, well, I thought that was kind of odd because it said that in January, she said the circuit court didn't have any authority. But yet they said after they foreclosed on my property, it says the circuit court foreclosure hearing is scheduled for February, at that time it was February 15th, at the Hillsdale County Circuit Courtroom. A circuit court? But I thought in January the circuit court didn't have any authority. But in February, the circuit court has authority. Well, that's because, see, there's this little thing in the Constitution that says that they can't take your property only but by due process. So if they're foreclosing on my property for non-payment of taxes, then they have this circuit court hearing where they give you what appears to be due process, but they take your property anyway. And isn't it odd that the circuit court didn't have any authority in January, but it did in February? Huh. I thought that was odd. So prior to that, though, I was called to a show cause hearing in, I believe it was in November. In November. So anyway, in November, he said a show cause hearing will be held. Um, I'm sorry, the show cause hearing was in February. Show cause hearing was in February, and it was held at the county building. And so we get there, and I go there with my lawyer, and we're all prepared because it says a show cause hearing will be held. It gives us time and everything. Conference room 210, 33 McCollum Street, Hillsdale, Michigan. It says you may appear in person through an agent in writing or by calling this number. Appearance at the show cause hearing is not required to protect your rights at the judicial foreclosure hearing, which was the circuit court that didn't have any authority in January, but they had authority in February. So it says a party claiming current title interest to this property may contest the current forfeiture for one or more of the following reasons. Okay, now this is a foreclosure. And it says that I can go in there with an agent and I can contest it. Listen to the reasons that I can contest. It says A, no law authorized the tax. Well, that didn't fit. B, the person appointed to decide whether a tax shall be levied under a law of this state acted without jurisdiction or did not impose the tax in question. Well, that wasn't true because the city assessor did have jurisdiction. Said C, the property was exempt from tax in question or was not legally assessed. Well, that's what fit. We were tax exempt because we were a 501c3. So let's go on. D says the tax has been paid within the time limited by law for payment or redemption. E, the tax was assessed fraudulently. And F, the description of the property used is indefinite or erroneous. So none of those fit, but C did. So we went in absolutely ready to argue C. Well, when we get in there, Stephanie Kaiser, the treasurer, and one of her assistants came in, and her assistant just started handing out these pieces of paper. And she said, okay, fill this out and sign your name. I said, what's this? She said, it's a promissory note to pay by monthly. And if you sign this, then you won't go into foreclosure. I said, well, wait a minute. I didn't come in here to contract with the county or the county treasurer. This is supposed to be a show cause hearing. I brought my lawyer with me, and we were going to argue C. Well, they got this befuddled look on their face. They said, well, Stephanie doesn't have the authority to do anything but to do this contract with people. Well, then it wasn't a show cause hearing, right? See, this is the legal form that you receive for that. And I've got the form with me. I said, well, it says right here, I can argue C. It says I can do it with an agent, and this is the time and the place. And it says that this is a show cause hearing. That if I'm found delinquent still after the show cause hearing, then I have the circuit court route to go in 2 weeks. But remember, circuit court said that they didn't have the authority over it in January, but they do in February. And the show cause hearing isn't a real show cause hearing because we don't know what a show cause hearing is when it comes to property in Hillsdale. So I had to contract with the county to keep from having my property foreclosed on, Liberty Hall. We'd done everything we tried that we could do. Now, during this whole time, I contacted my 2 city council members, Ray Briner and Rob Soha. Now, through this whole thing, Of course, Ray would never call me back. But then again, I knew what side he was on, especially when it happened, the whole debacle with the Republican Party thing and the fair board. He was on the fair board and claimed that he knew that the letter we had was legit, but he voted against us anyway. So after I heard all that, then I realized why Ray never gave me any representation. Rob Soha, I was calling him on the phone. I was talking to him. He was telling me he was doing all these things, but nothing got done. And of course, on one of the phone conversations, he told me that, yeah, it did look like Liberty Hall was being targeted. Of course, I brought that out in one of the lawsuits, and he got all freaked out at me. Um, so he did all that and couldn't get anything done. Of course, now why this is all going on? Uh, so we stave it off for a year. This is 2022. So in 2023, we're coming around again, where we're going to get foreclosed on. I happen to get a buyer for the two-story part, because remember I said there's two buildings on one deed, and so we got a buyer for the two-story part, and we were going to close in December, but then we couldn't close in December, so we were going to close in January. So right around the first week in January, we were going to close. So we got around, and I just figured I'll just go ahead and pay the back taxes and everything up, um, because obviously I don't have any remedy in the court, and tax tribunal is against me. Um, the uh, the tax board was against me. Nobody can give me a straight answer. My representatives aren't representing me or working for me at all. So we just figured, we got a good enough deal on that we could get everything paid and be at zero, um, and own our building free and clear and be done with the land contract. So that's what we were going to do. And so Stephanie's office knew that we were doing all that. And of course, the 2 days before, I'm we're going to close on the property and get everything paid, and they already know everything's going to get paid. They've been contacted by the title company. They couldn't wait to run out and put a sign on my building that it was being foreclosed on the 1st of March. Okay, this is this is this is January. Okay, so we do all the paperwork, we get everything done, we get that done, we get all the taxes paid. After we get the taxes paid, I get a note that I have to go down to the post office and sign for something. I sign for it, and I receive this. It says that I'm in foreclosure and they're going to foreclose on the property 1st of March. So I contact the realtor and I said, hey, what's going on? I thought we had this all taken care of. He said, well, let me check the title company. Let me check the assessor's office. So he checked. He said, yeah, everything should be paid. He said, we have no clue why they sent that out. All the taxes have been paid. You shouldn't have received anything from them. I was like, all right. So while this is going on, of course, I got a new representative, Josh Palladino. So I contact Josh and I let him know the history and everything we're doing. Josh actually looked up the tax law, went to City Hall, talked to the assessor's office, did everything he's supposed to do that a representative should do. He actually took his time to research the tax law. And he calls me back and he said, okay, here's what I need you to do. Here's the paperwork. Fill this paperwork out. This is what you need to put and what places you need to put it, which was kind of odd because I filled it out exactly and put the same things in the same places as the first paperwork I filed in June of of uh, of 2019. And lo and behold, we got it filed on the 3rd of March, last day. And within a week, I got an answer back that they found us tax exempt. They're not going to charge us taxes anymore. We were elated, absolutely ecstatic. And then in the middle of March, I get a tax bill from the from the county treasurer's office. So just pure harassment. Um, I don't know what Liberty Hall has done so bad other than we've helped people out that are in need and help. Um, we've done things for the community. Of course, we don't always publicize what we do. The things that we do, we figure Matthew 6:1-4, we try to do in secret. When we help people out, we don't help them out in such a way that we steal their dignity from them, and we don't publicize what we do. I mean, we don't need to blow horns unto ourselves. We just do what we do, and we have good fellowship there. We study and learn the Constitution, the founding documents, and the Federalist Papers, different speeches by our founding fathers, different letters between our founding fathers, um, American history, true American history, not this BS that they couch as history, or that they used to couch as history in our public school system. It was all revisionist history. Now they don't even teach hardly history at all. So that's kind of what we've gone through. That's in this town. Um, and we wonder why we don't have any businesses. This is how we treat people that try to do things in town and fix things up. Ever since I've had that building, they've been after me. Oh, you need a TIFA grant. Apply for a TIFA grant. John, you need to take stolen money, and so you can put a new facade on the place and everything. I said, no, we'll do it with our own money as we get the time and the money to do it. I mean, we have plans to do it, but we're not going to take stolen money to do it. I get this all the time. Well, John, you need to take grants. It's free money. Can somebody tell me what the bark looks like on a money tree? Because I'd like to plant one out here out back if I could. Because that's the only way you get free money is if it grows on trees, and we all know that doesn't happen. No such thing as free money. The government doesn't produce a product, sell it for a profit, and then do things with that money. The only way the government gets money is to take it from people. And grants is money that have been taken from people that they put in a pot and then they hand it out to somebody else. It's called wealth redistribution. It's socialism. Now, one of the arguments I always get is, well, John, if you don't take the money, somebody else is going to. Okay. So I should sleep with my neighbor's wife because somebody's going to. See, that's a way to justify immorality. Theft is theft. I'm not going to practice it. I'm not going to take stolen money. Stolen money usually comes with strings on it from the government, and I typically don't like to have government strings on me. I live in the land of the free, supposedly. We're supposed to have liberty. And uh, grant money, and we've gotten so used to justifying immorality that it's just fine with everybody, not with me. So we will be fixing up the face of our building as we get donations in to do it, and we got plenty of people to give a hand and do it. We're currently trying to do the facade on the outside on the front. We've got plans to fix up the basement now. Now that we don't have that other side, the people who bought the other side, they're great people, great neighbors, super people, super guys. They've been buying a lot of property in Hillsdale, and I'm kind of excited to see them come in. I just hope they get a warmer welcome than I did, than Liberty Hall did. So, but anyway, that's the saga. I hope that kind of explains where I'm coming from and what I've gone through with the city of Hillsdale and with the county of Hillsdale and just how warm and fuzzy they made me feel. And so I'm sorry if people's feelings are hurt that I named names, but the history is what it is, and what happened, and that's how it was. So this has been episode 6 of Self-Evident Truth with me, your grumpy old vet, and so y'all have a better week.